Hey everyone, this is Yami, your Latina next door. Welcome back to my channel. We have finally wrapped up our kitchen renovation. However, I wanted to focus this video on what used to be our eat-in kitchen area where our dining area used to be, that we have now added an island to and made it our breakfast area. When we first moved in, we started eating dinner here and quickly realized that the space was just going to be too small. So we decided to expand our kitchen by adding an island here. But adding an island was way too simple for us. And there was a lot that went into this small space that you see right here in order to get it to how we wanted it to look. So in this video, I'm going to share everything that we did to update this space. We partnered with Eiley for this video. Eiley is an online store that provides beautiful lighting and rug options at amazing prices. I'll have a link in my description box to their website. They provided the beautiful chandelier that I included in my mood board when I shared with you guys the plans that I had for my kitchen space. And we absolutely love it. I'll share more about it later on in this video. So after we purchased this house, this space went under a huge transformation from the get-go. We started by ripping down the floors, taking off all the molding off the walls, the window sills, and of course we scraped those popcorn ceilings. This was the first time we tackled anything of this magnitude, and of course it took us a few months to get this space the way we wanted. After everything was removed, we painted absolutely every single area. The ceiling, the crown molding, the walls, inside the windowsills, absolutely everything. And this is what the area looked like right before we installed our plywood floors. We ordered pre-made cabinets for our island from a local cabinet supplier. We picked them up and the Latino engineer installed them. And I am not gonna lie, we had this set up this way for several weeks, way too long, because we were trying to figure out what we needed to do for the countertop, but more on that in a bit. Since the Latino engineer needed to create a riser for the smaller cabinets, and there was also a seam, we needed to go ahead and cover the ends of the island, and we had one panel left over from our beadboard backsplash, so we cut them and installed them on the sides of the island. We installed the same hardware that we installed for the rest of the kitchen on the island as well in order to tie everything together. We had some thin underlayment that we had on hand, and we used that to install a nice seamless toe kick for the island. Okay, so let's talk about the countertops for a minute. We did butcher block for the rest of the kitchen. However, when we got a quote for an island piece that was just one solid large piece, it was going to be crazy expensive. So I had this brilliant idea, but perhaps it wasn't so brilliant. See, I had seen these tables online, these simple farmhouse plank tables, and I figured, why don't we give it a shot and see if we can just make something a little rustic and temporary until we decide to do something nicer. So we did. We purchased the boards, we cut off the rounded edges, and we proceeded to try to make our very own countertop. This was something that took quite a bit because we had to plane each of the sides, making sure they were nice and straight. And then we had to create a ton of pocket holes with our Craig jig so that we can attach all the boards together from underneath. And then we had to screw it all in. We used wood glue and our vices, and we screwed everything nice and straight. However, for whatever reason, the boards would not lie nice and flat, and there was just too many bumps and ridges, and it just did not look pretty. And this thing was huge. So unfortunately, it was a bust. So we had to consider something else. So we set that aside and then began finishing other parts of the kitchen that needed to be tended to, like our window sills. None of the windows of the house were completely cased, so we wanted to actually case them all around. However, since this was a bay window and the windows were a little bit closer than what the other windows of the house were, we weren't able to do exactly what we did everywhere else. So here we just replaced the window sills. But even still, just by replacing the window sills and adding a more custom look to it, actually made such a huge difference in these windows. Then we had to replace the light fixture, which involved creating a larger hole than what we had previously. And the light fixture that we went with was the Latina 49-inch 6-bulb lantern metal LED pendant chandelier, and this one is in the finish oil rub bronze. The instructions were actually very easy to follow and it was simple to put together. I'm going to link to it in the description box below, and I will give you a sneak peek at what it looks like at the end of the video. On my mood board, I had included beautiful legs to add onto the island to be a support for the countertop since it was going to be so big. We ended up going with a quartz countertop from a local vendor, so we had to find a way in order to cut our costs as much as possible. So I had this table that I've had for quite a few years now, and I wasn't going to have a use for it in this new house. So my dad actually dismantled the entire table and pulled the legs off so that I can use it as supports for my island since they were the perfect counter height. The Latino engineer gave it a good sanding. This poor table has been through the ringer and we wanted to smooth everything out. And then I spray painted it with some primer before we installed them. We attached the legs to the island, and the guys then came over when the countertop was done to add it to the top. And I am so glad we went with quartz. After the island was installed, we went back in and caulked all of the different pieces together. We wanted to make sure that it didn't look like it was different pieces just kind of put together on an island. We wanted it to look like one complete piece, and adding a caulk to all of the seams between like the beadboard and then the support board for the countertop as well as the legs. We just wanted everything to look cohesive. And we also wanted to make sure we hid all of the nail holes. I came in afterwards with some pre-taped plastic and covered the entire floor around the island. We took a sample of the cabinets over to Sherwin-Williams and got it color matched to the color that they came in, and I went ahead and painted everything one cohesive color. Now I didn't paint the actual cabinets because they were brand new and painted. I just painted the beadboard, the support board, as well as the legs. That way everything looked like one nice solid color. I made sure to use a brush in all of the nooks and crevices, and then I would come over with a roller and smooth everything out for a nice finish. Finally, we had to change out all of the light switches as well as the outlets of this space. And here are a few sneak peeks of what the chandelier and island look like. I will be working on a final reveal for the kitchen, so make sure you stay tuned to see that. Thank you so much, Eileen, for providing this light fixture, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, adios.